Yo gamers, what is good? It's me, Jackson, and today I want to kickstart my Ace Attorney Original Trilogy case review series. And I'm not really doing this to go super deep into the legalities of the cases or to analyze every single interaction between characters. There's already other videos on YouTube that do that. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is just sort of giving my general thoughts about each case, so that by the end of this series, we can arrange them into a tier list and I guess just kind of look back and appreciate all the banger cases this series has. I should also throw another disclaimer that I am not a lifelong Ace Attorney fan. I just finished the trilogy for the first time like a day ago. But I really freaking loved these games, so much so that I just felt like, man, I gotta say something about them. I gotta get the good vibes out. You know, I'm gonna put the world on freaking Ace Attorney as a 200 subscriber channel, darn it. So yes, let's begin with Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright, the first entry in the series. Alright, so our first case is The First Turnabout, and the Ace Attorney series loves to use the word turnabout because in Japanese, gyakuten roughly translates to like a sudden change or reversal, which is kind of what you're going to be doing throughout the entire game. You're constantly, changing the opinion of the court, opinion of the judge, your own opinion as you learn more about it. So it's a pretty fitting word to appear so frequently throughout these games. Anyways, language history lesson over. These games are divided into two parts. The first part is the investigation phase. During the investigation phase, your goal is just to gather information, gather witness testimonies, find clues, and just in general sort of explore the world. Now, because of their more open-ended nature, they are complemented very well by the second part of Ace Attorney games, which are the trial parts. Trials are, of course, locked to just the courtroom, so there's not going to be any exploration. Instead, this is all about high-tension back and forths between the defense and the prosecution. You'll need to examine testimonies from witnesses, discover contradictions, present evidence at the right time, and essentially just turn your big boy brain on. But yeah, these nice juxtapositions of the lenient, open-ended investigations and the highly focused and concentrated trials keep Ace Attorney's flow very smooth and very interesting for its players. But of course, that's without even mentioning what I consider to be the greatest accomplishment of the Ace Attorney games, and that is the immaculate writing behind them. Seriously, whether it's with the characters and their personalities or motivations and backgrounds, or just the general scenario writing, these games were written with a pen of gold. And of course, it only makes the writing better that all of the character designs and the illustration work is awesome. Seriously, whether it's their little animations or their hairstyles or their outfits or faces or whatever, I feel like all of the characters in this game just look so distinct. And I mean that in a great way. I heard this thing a while back that if you can recognize a character based off of their silhouette, then that means that it's a well-designed character. And yeah, I feel like you could very easily do that for the entire cast of the original Ace Attorney trilogy. But you're not just getting eye candy with Ace Attorney. You're not just getting awesome stories, you're also getting ear candy because holy moly, these games have awesome music. Not only is the music fantastic and perfectly captures the mood for an intense battle of brains and all that good stuff, but there's also great attention to the, sound design, right? Because there's sound effects and certain, audible cues and all that stuff that line up perfectly with what the characters are saying or doing that just gives that much more weight to all of the interactions in these games. Basically, these are extremely professional visual novels that take advantage of really everything you can do with the medium. And it's funny, right? Because I am definitely a gameplay first guy, and the Ace Attorney series basically just consists of Press A, at least the original trilogy. But I still feel like it is insanely captivating, and it just kind of proved to me that, wow, visual novels can actually be pretty epic when they're done right. And clearly, these games were very much done right. But okay, now that I've kind of gushed enough about what makes Ace Attorney, well, Ace Attorney, let's dive into the first case of the first game. This case is known as the First Turnabout, and it basically just introduces us to all the mechanics I just talked about. You got Phoenix Wright in here. He's our main character. He's going to be backed up by Mia Fey, who's kind of the Ane-san, big sister of the series. She's very awesome. We're going up against Winston Payne, the prosecution lawyer. He's kind of like the tutorial joke enemy. I really like him just because it's kind of funny to dunk on this old guy who's like, I don't know, dummy. But yeah, the defendant is Larry Butts, who is one of Phoenix Wright's childhood friends, and he's kind of like this reoccurring comical relief character who's so funny. Like, he is the biggest retard ever, but it's always so funny to just see what sort of new situations he's getting himself into. Basically, Larry Butts has been accused of killing his girlfriend, and the witness is one Frank Sawit. And yeah, between Larry Butts or Frank Sawit, I'm sure you've already picked up that the Ace Attorney games have pretty funny names. Now, quick side rant, I'm usually not a big fan of localization teams going into a, I guess, Japanese script, for example, and totally butchering it to fit in line with what they deem to be acceptable. Because, like, that's messing with the original artist's vision, right? And I feel like localizers need to take up the mantle of a steward more than, I guess, a police, right? Localizers only have one job, and that is to preserve the vision of the original artist and present it in a way that maintains that same vision for different regions around the world. And again, I don't like localization teams, especially with the stuff we see nowadays, but I gotta call it how I see it, and the Ace Attorney series is a fantastic example of how localization can be done right. Rather than correcting the creation, they simply shared the creation. So yeah, good on you, Capcom of, what was this, 2001? Anyways, essentially this case turns into you having to prove that a non-suspecting item was in fact a murder weapon. And again, while it might be extremely simple compared to the cases that will follow it, I still feel like it delivers a satisfying mystery for you to solve and is overall a really solid introduction to this game. Okay, but baby time is over. We're going on to case 2 now, which is Turnabout Sisters. And yeah, they turn up the heat freaking fast. This is, in my opinion, one of the strongest cases in the entire trilogy. It also contributes to the overarching Ace Attorney storyline. While each of the cases could be enjoyed as their own standalone episode, there are certain cases that go heavier on this main storyline. And honestly, I love all of them, but yeah, my favorites are the ones that do go heavier on the main storyline. The premise for Turnabout Sisters is sad. It starts off with Big Boob GF getting killed, and well, that sucks. Nah, but for real, Mia is a dope character, and I remember I was pretty surprised that they killed her off so early. But don't worry, she's not really gone, and we'll figure that out as this case goes on. This time around, the prosecution is represented by Miles Edgeworth, who is basically the edgiest edgelord to ever edge on the planet of the freaking world. Miles is dope, and I really like his character. He kind of has like the generic, too cool for school anime boy attitude, but he's really smart and definitely a perfectionist. The defendant is Mia Fey, who is actually the younger sister of Mia, and she is being suspected as the murderer of her older sister. We were also introduced to Detective Dick Gumshoe, who is another series reoccurring character that is always just kind of a fun goofball to mess around with. There are some other witness characters and just random characters we'll meet in this storyline, such as April May, Bellboy, and, well, Red White. So yeah, basically, we have to prove that Maya is innocent, that it was not her who killed the older sister. And lucky for us, April May saw the entire thing, so we basically just have to go harass her until she gives us the information we want, and we figure out that Mia Fey, the big boob girl, was actually basically on a hit list by Red White. Red White is this, kind of Homelander type guy who thinks he's the coolest dude in the world, and anyone that messes with him is big dead, including Mia Big Booby GF Fey. Now here's the thing, the Fey family is kind of weird because they're actually spirit channelers, which means that they can summon and I guess temporarily bring back dead people for interactions. So basically, the mother of both Mia and Maya tried to help the police in a case a long time ago, but it unfortunately failed, and when it failed, Mr. Red White over here leaked that information to the public, which led to everybody going big hate mode on the Fey clan. Because of this, the mom went into hiding for like 15 years, and naturally this made Maya suspicious. So she started to dig into Red White because she suspected it was him that leaked the information, and because she found out he was responsible for so many other shady things, he started to panic and, well, he killed her. He pinned all of the blame on Mia's younger sister Maya, who we have to defend, and eventually over a series of pretty crazy cross-examinations and I guess kind of pointing out contradictions, we are finally able to prove that he was lying and that Maya Fey is not guilty. Maya Fey will go on to become basically the second main character of the series, and she'll always tag along with us, just kind of, chilling, giving funny, quirky quips on everything, and just in general being the nice lady friend of our main character. No, but I really do think that this is one of the strongest cases in the trilogy, which is crazy because it's so early on. They really just throw you right into the fire. You have to press for more information from your witnesses, prove contradictions during cross-examinations, I guess go back to scenes of the murder to find evidence and all that good stuff. It is really interesting. And it is satisfying at the end that you finally bring justice to a guy who very clearly was corrupt and kind of blackmailing a lot of other authorities in the local region to do whatever he wanted and avoid any sort of accountability or punishment. It is a very good story. Alright, let's move on to the third case of the game, Turnabout Samurai. This is a fun one, and it is one of the kind of self-contained episodes that doesn't really play a huge role into the overarching Ace Attorney storyline, but it's still just fun in its own right. This case sees Phoenix and Maya having to defend Will Powers, who is the actor behind a famous superhero in the world of Ace Attorney known as the Steel Samurai. He is being blamed for the murder of Jack Hammer, another actor from the Steel Samurai TV show. Once again, Miles is the prosecution lawyer, and we're introduced to a couple other characters. One of them is yet another series reoccurring character, Wendy Oldbag. She's kind of this funny old lady who just never shuts up, but yeah, we're also introduced to some other fun characters like Cody Hackins, who's this young autistic fanboy of Steel Samurai. We also got Penny Nichols, who, I don't know, she's just some rando girl. Sal Manella, who's this freak Discord mod that is a director for the Steel Samurai show. And Dee Vasquez, who is a renowned producer not only for the Steel Samurai, but for many other movies and TV shows. The mystery here is pretty interesting, but if I'm gonna be real, compared to Case 2, the solution to this mystery feels a little bit more contrived and a little bit less tight than normal Ace Attorney fare. By no means is it bad, and it's totally fun to play through still. It's just something that personally I observed while playing it. That said, although the, actual revelations of the murder were kind of like, I don't know, a little bit weaker than average, the finale itself is so fire in this case because, well, Phoenix Wright basically doesn't know what to do. So he's kind of about to give up, like, man, how can I prove that it was actually Dee Vasquez who was the murderer? And just as the judge is about to render a guilty verdict, our boy Miles from across the aisle shouts objection, and you and him tag team on the grandma Dee Vasquez. And together you're able to prove that she was indeed the murderer and get the truthful, not guilty verdict. And this case's finale touches on one of the central themes in the Ace Attorney series, which is the clash between the justice system of the law and the human element of the heart. For now, it's only Miles who's embarking on that ideological journey, but the scene does introduce the conflict so that the players can start thinking about it when Phoenix Wright is inevitably confronted with this situation. And spoiler alert, it will happen, and in the not too distant future. But anyways, for now, that wraps up Case 3. Like I said, I think it was a pretty strong case that overall still managed to be entertaining, in spite of what, again, I consider to be a few weaker revelations in terms of storytelling. Okay, Christmas time, and also time for Case 4, the finale to the original Ace Attorney game. Side note, I do know that there is an extra 5th episode that was added in future re-releases of Ace Attorney 1, but I think just to keep things, consistent and pure, I'm going to call it quits after this last case, and maybe I'll talk about the bonus case in a future video. Anyways, Case 4, Turnabout Goodbyes. And like I said, it's on Christmas. This time around, we are treated to a very interesting opening sequence where apparently Miles has just shot another brother off of a boat. So yeah, needless to say, you're already pretty hooked by that intro sequence, and as Phoenix Wright, the defense attorney, you now have to defend Miles Edgeworth. The prosecution lawyer is Manfred von Karma, who is actually a pretty significant character to the story of Ace Attorney, even though he's actually only in this one game, at least for the original trilogy. Anyways, our boy Manfred was actually Miles's teacher. Miles's teacher? Miles' teacher? I don't know how you say that. Miles's teacher. I'm pretty sure that's correct English. And he is a ruthless MFer. I mean, this guy will do anything to get a guilty verdict. And he also has somewhat of a shady past. It's kind of depressing that he turns on his own trainee so quickly to prosecute him, but unfortunately, that's just the way it is. We're also introduced to another character, Lotta Hart, who is a series reoccurring character who's like this redneck country bumpkin freak that, I don't know, I think she's just straight up retarded because like she says some of the wackiest things throughout these games and it just doesn't make any sense, but she's a pretty likable character. The thing that's crazy about this case is that while you're not only trying to prove Miles innocent, you're also discovering a lot of what happened in a case known as DL6. Now, DL6 is a case that holds very great significance in the Ace Attorney world because it not only tanked the reputation of the Faye clan, Maya and Mia's family, but it also was the case that unfortunately resulted in the death of Miles's father. Now, Miles's father was actually a defense attorney, not a prosecution attorney. And during this case, his opponent was Manfred von Karma, the very same guy that you're now facing as Phoenix Wright. Now, like I said earlier, Manfred will do anything to get a guilty verdict. And, well, unfortunately for him, he lost the case to Miles' father all those years ago on the DL6 incident. Because he didn't want his perfect reputation ruined, he used a conveniently timed earthquake during that trial to kill Miles' father. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy revelation, and the way that you discover this is super satisfying. And yeah, unsurprisingly, this is definitely my favorite case from the original Ace Attorney. But yeah, with that, we have now finished going over all 4 of the main cases in Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Like I said, I think that this was an insane way to start off this new IP. It is so strong, and I highly recommend everyone try it out. The mysteries are gripping, the characters are so charming, the music is banger, the animation is banger, and the cases are by and large all great. Case 1 acts as great bait. It's appealing, it looks appetizing, and you want to check it out. But man, once you get to case 2, that's where the hook comes in and you are just so invested in this. I may have joined the Ace Attorney party like 22 freaking years late, and geez, that makes me feel old, but I am so glad that I eventually got around to playing these games, and I highly recommend it to everybody. But yeah, what do you think about Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney? Let me know in the comments below, and stay on the lookout for my upcoming reviews of Ace Attorney 2 and eventually Ace Attorney 3. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all later.